Welcome back to another video, and in today's video we have our AEW Dynasty review and results. This show was a very interesting one, a lot of big matches, obviously the big main event, Kenny Omega, MJF, a lot of stakes into that match, who'd walk out as the world champion, and yeah, very good show overall. But how we feeling?
Yeah, it was a pretty good show. I was definitely expecting maybe a little bit more from some of these matches, but we'll get more into that when we talk about them.
But we started the night in tag team action where the Young Bucks took on Konosuke Takeshita and Kazuchika Okada, and we would see the Young Bucks walk out on top after Takeshita would walk out on Okada, whereas we also get more tension between Okada and Takeshita to hopefully finally build to this big one-on-one match that we've been building on for quite a few months now.
Yeah, this was something that's been dragging on for a long time. I was definitely hoping we'd get this payoff at the end of the Continental Classic when they were matched up against each other, or had potential to, and we didn't get it there. We continued to build, and then they forgot about it, and now we're back to it. So I really don't like how we're kind of on and off with this feud, because I really do enjoy it. So if they would just go all in, I think this could be a really enjoyable feud for everyone who does watch it, and I think it still will get to that eventually. I think this is probably leading to an all-in match between these two if I had to take a guess, but hopefully that ends up with a big Takeshita run. The story of this match was just like you mentioned, all the kind of tension between them at the end. As you mentioned, they were going for the TK driver kind of thing, a springboard TK driver, and he was holding his foot, but then he decided might as well just let him go. And then he ends up doing the TK driver to Kazuchika Okada, and that's what got them the win. So a pretty cool thing, a story to tell. There was also a moment where Kazuchika Okada hit him with a Rainmaker, flipped him off, and then later on Takeshita did the same thing back to him. So definitely a big on and off battle between Takeshita and Okada. I think it would have been cool if they won the tag team titles, because it would have been like, oh god, we just won the titles and we hate each other. What's going to happen now? So I think if they would have beat them, then eventually, led on to win the titles, that could have been a very interesting story to tell, but it doesn't look like we're going that way.
Yeah, in terms of match quality, this was definitely one of the best ones on the night. Young Bucks action is always going to be some of the most fun moments of the night. It's a lot of fast pace, kind of getting all the spots in, and yeah, kind of have a nice kind of trajectory of where the match goes. So yeah, Young Bucks put on a good performance, gets them on one step closer to probably another rematch or another opportunity for those tag team champions. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out for them over the next few weeks. But after that, we had the return match of Chris Jericho, where he would take on Ricochet, and this match was a little bit of an interesting one because this obviously didn't have too long of a build. Once Jericho returned, the next week he came out, him and Ricochet had a little interaction with one another, and it would set up this match, and in the end Ricochet walks out on top.
Yeah, this match was perfectly fine. Nothing too crazy, nothing bad. It's pretty much what you expect from a Chris Jericho match. He maybe even outperformed what I thought he could do. He ended up doing his lion salt off the middle rope as he used to do in the past, and it looked really good. We seen Ricochet kind of mimic that, do it back as well. We also seen a 450 from Ricochet that Chris Jericho caught into a code breaker. That was a pretty cool finish to it. But yeah, it was a really good match. I enjoyed it for what it was, but hopefully we don't get too much more of these kind of matches, because it was kind of a problem with women matches on this show, considering we had 3 on the pre-show and only 1 on the actual main card. So hopefully maybe a match like that could get replaced with another big women's match hopefully next time.
Yeah, this is one of those matches that I think was just there to kind of fill up time, get Jericho on the card, get Ricochet on the card. I maybe would have liked Ricochet in that Casino Gauntlet match a little bit more, but I get why we have to have somebody for Chris Jericho, so I do get it. It didn't go too long. I wish it maybe would have been a little bit shorter, but this is one of those matches, like I said, I don't mind it, don't care for it too much, but yeah, kind of just filled up some time on the card. But next up, we had a big match, especially for Darby Allin, where if he would win this match, he would get a #1 opportunity versus the world champion whenever he kind of wants it. But he would end up going to win this match, and he has already declared that he will be going after that whoever is the champion on this week's Dynamite, which is going to be the start of Spring Break-In as well. So yeah, a lot of good stuff for Darby Allin kind of going on right now. Potentially has a win coming up soon for the world champions after everything he's been through. But this match itself was great. Andrade and him had a great performance. Glad that Andrade kind of got this time to kind of still show off, hey, I'm still one of those top guys. Whenever y'all want to use me again, I'm still here.
It is kind of just surprising just in general that Darby Allin is actually going to go against the world champion this coming Wednesday. It's a big surprise. I didn't really expect it. I did pick Andrade myself, just because I didn't really believe that he would win. It didn't feel like it was the time, really. It felt like if he was going to win, we should have maybe did it at the pay-per-view or maybe at All In. Seemed like one of those kind of things, but it looks like we might get it at Dynamite. So a very important match for Darby Allin with the most stakes that he's probably seen in his entire career, at least since the Sting match, the Sting retirement match, of course. And yeah, this will be very interesting to see what happens this Wednesday.
Now going back into tag team action, we had the World Tag Team titles on the line where FTR would put them up against Cope and Cage, the reunion of them finally as a tag team in AEW now, and surprisingly, FTR does walk out on top still and retain the tag team champions. This match actually was one of those like kind of sneaky banger ones. I don't know kind of how to feel sometimes about Cope and Christian back in wrestling, just because sometimes it can be pretty bad, sometimes it can be good, and for me this was one of the really good ones. I love when we did get the hot tag onto Christian. It kind of has a good like few minutes in the ring where he's only doing some attacking moves, and that's really it. But yeah, I love his little streak of attacks. And yeah, in the end, FTR have like a nice kind of drawn out moment where you think Edge and Christian are gonna get like the Shatter Machine win, but they would end up reversing it. FTR hits it on Cope, and they would end up retaining the tag titles. So yeah, very good, fun match, and interesting to see where these tag team champions go now. The Young Bucks are kind of still in line. Cope and Christian probably didn't lose fairly necessarily, so yeah, who knows what will be next.
Yeah, we got a little bit of blood from Copeland during this match, so that's always pretty cool to see during AEW pay-per-views. You know you're going to get it somewhere during the pay-per-view. It just depends on where it's going to go, and it was during this tag team match. But yeah, it was pretty good for what it was. I definitely thought Adam Copeland and Christian were going to pick up the win. Didn't go that way. FTR is going on. I believe me and you talked about this before. It does seem like we're leading to a triple threat tag team match with the Young Bucks, FTR, Edge, and Christian. So that'll be a very interesting match to happen at potentially All In, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Following that, though, we would have the Casino Gauntlet match for the TNT Champion, where we'd see Tommaso Ciampa and Rush started off, but in the end, it would be Kevin Knight taking home the TNT Champion, and yeah, it won his first singles champion. I think he said in his entire career, through New Japan, through AEW, he finally gets the first one, and it's a big one. He has to follow up some big shoes in Kyle Fletcher, so yeah, I can't wait to see what this TNT run for Kevin Knight looks like.
Yeah, this was a big feel-good win for Kevin Knight here. The crowd was excited to see him win. I was excited to see him win. But it looks like Kevin Knight's on a different trajectory right now. He's on kind of another level. He's having a lot more success, and I am very excited to see where he goes in the future, because I do think he's world champion material, potentially by the end of this year.
Yeah, Kevin Knight has been on an incredible run, and I hope this TNT title reign serves him like it did for Fletcher, where it boosted him from one of the middle-class guys to one of the top-end guys now, and I think Kevin Knight has all the potential to do that. It's just a matter of what Tony Khan will allow him to do with this TNT title reign. Now we find ourselves in the Women's World Championship match between Thekla and Jamie Hayter. Now, this match was the one that we did kind of hope to get eventually between these two. They have a lot of history ever since Thekla's debuted. She originally attacked Jamie. Jamie's been out for a while. She hasn't really gotten her full lick back onto Thekla, so now it's finally time for these two to lock up one-on-one. Now that Thekla's champion has a lot more implications to it, obviously, so it is a lot more of a bigger field between these two, but in the end, Thekla walks out on top, retains the world champion, and yeah, I think it's another good match for her reign. I don't think this is nothing to kind of brag about. Not an amazing match, but also not a bad match by any means. It just felt like another one on her run.
Yeah, this is one of the matches I definitely expected a little bit more out of. I think the finish is what really might have kind of drug it out for me a little bit. I didn't like that she got the dirty win with grabbing the ropes. I think it would have been cooler for her to just get the clean win. She's kind of having a kind of dominant performance. Remember, everyone's kind of falling in love with the character of Thekla at the moment. And I think if you let her be a little bit more dominant, it could get a little bit more over. And maybe they don't want to do that because there's a returning Mercedes on the horizon. So maybe that's why they don't want to let her get too hot at the moment, because they don't want to do that just to break her back down when Mercedes comes back. But I think it would have been cool to see her get a dominant win, and hopefully next time we do see that happen. But it's not looking good considering that Mercedes Moné return is coming.
But following the Women's World Championship match, we had the AEW Continental Championship match between Jon Moxley and Will Ospreay. Ospreay's first match back on pay-per-view since returning from injury, and this match was nothing out of the ordinary from Will Ospreay. It's another absolute banger. Moxley, one of his best matches of late. And yeah, these two men absolutely killed it. Exactly what you expect from these two. I think both men are probably at the, I'm gonna say, the peak of their game, because obviously Ospreay is coming back from an injury, so he's a little bit shaken up. You see that throughout the match, but in the end, it is still a banger of a match. Moxley retains, which is a little bit surprising, but at the same time, you have that feeling that, you know, Moxley can always pick up a win over anybody. He is just that strong. Whereas Will Ospreay, like I said, he is a little bit nerfed right now, dealing with the injury still.
Yeah, this was, like you said, the best match on the night. I definitely enjoyed this one the most out of everything. I think the story with this match was very good. I think the pile driver that he hit on the steps on Will Ospreay, that was a very, just like a shocking moment, considering he literally just came back from neck surgery and he's taking pile drivers on the steel steps already. But it's Will Ospreay. He's going to always do those kind of crazy, fantastic moves, and he's also going to be able to take moves as well, just as much as he gives them. So that's the cool part about Will Ospreay's offense. But yeah, definitely the best match on the night. I enjoyed it the most. Hopefully this leads to some kind of big moment for Will Ospreay. It does seem like a world championship will be around his waist come All In, whether he goes into All In with it or come out of All In with it. So I'm just curious where he goes from here now that he did lose to Jon Moxley.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it feel like they can definitely revisit this at the next show into going to Double or Nothing, but it also feels like something that could be the end of this little interaction for them for right now until we see one of them pick up the World Championship once again. But yeah, this is obviously something that I can't wait to see once again, like I said, with the championship on the line. But after that, we had some trios champions on the line where we'd see the Dogs, David Finlay, Clark Connors, and Gabe Kidd put their champions up against the conglomeration, which was Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong and their mystery opponent or mystery partner, and it would end up being the return of Kyle O'Reilly. So a really cool moment there. They had a nice little like sitcom type of style entrance, which I thought was really nice. But in the end, we would also see the conglomeration win the trios champions. I think the Dogs just won them on this past Collision, so for them to only lose it a few days later, it definitely is a sucky moment. But I think it was due to Gabe Kidd unfortunately suffering an injury in the middle of this match. I think it was a shoulder injury, they've said, so sucks for him. But conglomeration are your new trios champions, and Kyle O'Reilly is back in AEW.
Yeah, definitely hope that he gets better, healthy, obviously. But, it's a big win for them, a big loss as well for the War Dogs. They were kind of having a pretty big rise, but unfortunately, they do take the L here. But, yeah, I guess the Trios division kind of moves on. The titles do just kind of swap a lot in that division, so I guess we'll see where it goes next.
But now it is time for the main event, the Devil versus the God of Pro Wrestling, Kenny Omega, MJF, who walks out as your world champion, going on to face Darby Allin at Dynamite this upcoming week. And in the end, the Devil stands tall. MJF retains the champion once again. Not fully clean, but a very convincing win after a phenomenal match between these two. I don't think it's the peak of what these two have to offer with each other, but I think it's up there as one of the best matches this year for sure.
Yeah, it was a pretty good match. I definitely thought it would hit to another level. It didn't really get there for me. I thought this would be a match of the year contender, and I wouldn't necessarily say it's that. Like, at the moment, you could probably say it's a match of the year contender, but by the time we get to the end of the year, there'll be a lot more matches that will be better than this one, unfortunately. But hopefully there is another rematch between these two, because I would love to see a better match, maybe a stipulation match between these two. And I think that would be very interesting, because this one didn't hit what I thought it would hit. I thought we would see just a big kind of masterpiece of a match from Kenny Omega. MJF, this would be a big statement win on his win-loss record against Kenny Omega, and it ends up being one because he did pick up the win, retaining that title. But as I mentioned, hopefully they do have a better match later on.
With MJF retaining, it does feel not too surprising, because like we were talking about in our predictions video, either man could have won. I don't think it's surprising that either man would have won or lost. But now that Kenny Omega is out of the title picture, I guess for now, at least until he picks up some more wins to kind of bounce back from it, who knows where he'll go. Maybe we see him and Will Ospreay maybe lock it up one more time to kind of see who is the next in line after Darby Allin gets his opportunity. But like I said, MJF now has to go against Darby Allin this coming week. He's obviously going to be a little bit banged up after this match with Kenny, because I think, especially at that later part of the match, where you see kind of Kenny get a lot of attacks and kind of just unblocked, just checking MJF a lot, until we see MJF kind of distract, pulling the ref bump. Kenny does hit the one-winged angel, but the Dynamite Diamond Ring and a low blow, and then a pile driver through the table will kind of seal the deal for MJF. So, yeah, interesting way to go into Dynamite now. So, yeah, Darby Allin definitely has a chance, but will he win?
Yeah, it's definitely looking like he will. If I had to put my money on it, I didn't really think he would even win the match against Andrade in the first place. I thought that's why they put the stipulation like they did with Andrade not getting a title shot, because it just made sense to me in my brain. But he did win it, and I'm excited for it. I'm a huge Darby Allin fan. I kind of started giving up on him a little bit in recent weeks and months with kind of the way his booking has been going, where he's just kind of in these like big collision crash courses with everyone. But hopefully with MJF, this will be a good story going into it, a big match going into it. I know the match is this Wednesday, so there's not really going to be a build to it, but there is still a way you can do it after the match. I'm sure he'll want his rematch and things of that nature. So hopefully MJF and Darby Allin can have a huge story here, and that'll be something to catapult Darby into a different trajectory.
But that would do it for Dynasty. Like I said, a very good show. Not their best show of all time by any means. I think AEW could have done a lot better with this show. I think some of these matches could have been a little bit shorter. Some matches could have been a little bit longer. But overall, a very solid show. Typical night from the AEW brand. And yeah, what was your favorite match of the night?
I'm definitely going to go with Will Ospreay and Jon Moxley. That was a very entertaining match. Definitely could have gone with the first match of the night with the Young Bucks and Kazuchika Okada and Takeshita, but I do think I will go with Will Ospreay and Jon Moxley.
Definitely not a bad pick. I think I'm going to have to match you there as well. Moxley and Ospreay, again, just had an absolute banger of a match and continue their great streak of matches. But like I said, that would do it from us as well. Thank you guys. If you haven't already, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and we will catch you guys in the next one.